There, I am Dr. Jane McCartney. I'm a chartered psychologist in the UK, and today, talking about narcissists, I wanted to talk about why they are so jealous. Why is it a narcissist is so jealous? And of course, this unfortunately does play itself out quite a lot in violence when they're ultimately not getting what they want, which is their own way, to be in control, to have the power in a relationship. When they're not getting their own way, they will sadly not think twice about using violence against people. You know, the news feeds and papers are just peppered with stories, of course, of people being attacked, abused, murdered by people because they flew into a narcissistic rage about something or other because they weren't getting it their own way. Why narcissists are so jealous is because they come from a position of shame and guilt and insecurity. And if they believe that they are encountering people in their lives that aren't shameful, aren't guilty, come from a position of confidence, it is a trigger for them to just compare themselves. Narcissists are constantly comparing themselves to other people. And of course, coming out negatively, but then doing something to squash a person down to then feel superior and come out not exactly positively, but not negatively. That's the best that they would go for. Unless they have a screaming entitlement and aspect to their personality, they tend to just settle with okay, as opposed to I'm just screamingly entitled and grandiose. That does happen, of course, that does happen. But the reason that narcissists are so jealous is because they compare themselves, and they would have done this their entire life. And sometimes it would have worked for them. Sometimes it would have worked because they, say they were at school or something and they compared their work with somebody else's and they saw that the other person was getting, A pluses and they were only getting an A minus or whatever, or even lower. And they may have looked at that and thought, well, what can I do to get to that point? So that kind of reinforces this comparative nature rather than actually thinking, in the normalcy of thinking, right, okay, that person's getting better grades than I am. What do I have to do? I have to work harder. Not I'm using the comparison as a push. I personally just have to, stop slacking off and work a bit harder and go and find some resources that may help me or something. But they use that. And then that, of course, then reinforces that actually if I compare myself to somebody all the time, then that will push me because I have a few incidents in my life that it's actually worked. But they become so jealous and clingy, and what tends to happen in a relationship is they suffocate another person. And often people will talk about narcissists as being parasites. They have a parasitical relationship. And in the true sense of the word, a parasite will kill its host. It will, there's plenty of examples in the animal kingdom where, one insect will burrow into another insect, but in it's not entirely true with narcissists. They are more saprosites. I think I've said that word right, which is they will cling on to a host. They will use a host. They won't kill the host because they need that host for their feed. And a classic example of this is mistletoe. If you see those bunches of mistletoe in trees, it's clinging on to that tree that it is feeding off. It is, taking all the nutrients and all the moisture and everything it needs to live and to thrive and to become green and bushy and all the things that a healthy mistletoe is. But it's doing it at the detriment of the tree that it's latched itself onto. Those are just a couple of examples of nature, which I think a lot of people are able to relate to. And that's what a narcissist will do. It will find its host, it will cling on to its host, and it will do anything and everything not to have to replace you. Narcissists tend to have one relationship after another. There's never any breathing space because if I'm not in a relationship, then who the hell am I? I have to be in a relationship. I have to be in control in a relationship. I have to do the love bombing stage. I have to do all the things that are expected of me, but ultimately I'm in a relationship because they don't like being alone. Because if a narcissist is alone, they tend to have to be a little bit introspective. They have to be a little bit self-thinking. They have to think about how they are and maybe how they behave and why they're alone and why they've had so many poor relationships. And they don't want to do that. And if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you will know this. They will tell you that they were victimised in any relationship, be it a family relationship or a work relationship. They are always victimised. I'm not saying there aren't situations where a narcissist will come across another narcissist who will victimize them. But generally, oh, this person really did me bad. They took all my money. Excuse me. They took all my money. They promised me this, and they use me to go up the ladder at work or something like that. They are always the victim. And if they get themselves in a position in a relationship, they will do everything to maintain that, because it is giving them, like the mistletoe, it is giving them their feed, exactly what they want. They are being told or inferred, even if it's not actually told, they're being inferred that they are in control, that they are the powerful one, they are the one that everybody has to, be deferential to, if you like. They are the ones that are absolutely in charge, and everybody should know that and adhere to that. And eventually people just get fed up with it. They can't live their lives because it affects their well-being, their mental well-being and physical well-being sometimes, and they can't live like that. So they will start making attempts, or they will start doing something to extricate themselves from the narcissist, and that is where the flashpoint of the jealousy happens. And there's some studies that have been done that when relationships are broken up and the father, because it does happen with women and mothers, but it's rare, but it happens mostly with men, they will harm and sometimes sadly kill their children. And they're not doing it because the children are almost just an add-on. It is saying to that woman that rejected them and abandoned them, and that is stuff that is in their past waiting. I'm waiting to be rejected and abandoned, and you've just pressed that button. After 20 years, you've just pressed that button, or 15 years, or whatever it is. So I'm going to do the thing, and I'm going to harm you in the way that I know will hurt you the most, which is to harm the thing that you love the most, the people that you love the most, which are your children. And the studies have said that the flashpoints for these situations to happen are when even if the narcissists themselves have gone on to form another relationship, when the ex-partner starts a new relationship with another man, that is a major flashpoint for that narcissist. His jealousy, the rage is so intense that he will take it out and harm his ex-partner, because how dare you reject me, even though I've got a relationship. That's immaterial, that doesn't matter. How dare you reject me, and you are going to suffer. And that is the jealousy. That's a real flashpoint of jealousy. And the other time that there are heightened paternal killings is when it's holiday time and the dad will get a little bit more access to the children. That is not an uncommon time, again, for these rates. They are mercifully rare, but they do happen. And, we have situations, especially in the UK, we have situations where courts have ordered, mums or grandparents in some cases to make a child see them, and then the tragedy happens. It happens just, it should never happen at all to anybody, but it does happen. And that is down to narcissistic rage, which is born and is fed through the jealousy of that narcissist. How dare you? How dare anybody come anywhere near me and tell me that I'm anything other than the most perfect and wonderful human being that's ever lived? None of us are perfect. None of us are wonderful. None of us are. But most of us actually have the thoughts in our head that we can actually understand that and believe it. But narcissists don't, and especially if they are on, the real severe end of the spectrum. And, they spend their life kind of going around thinking, right, how dare you? And it comes out in jealousy. And sometimes in relationships, they will dress the jealousy up to make it sound like it's a romantic thing. Oh, you are the only person for me. There's been dozens of you used before that, but let's forget them. You are the only person. You're the only person that understands me. You're the only person that I could possibly even think about spending my life with. And, and yeah, I might be a bit jealous, and I kind of want to know where you're going. And I had a situation once where the man was so intensely jealous that this lady could not even put the rubbish in the bins without him following her. She literally had, 3 meters to walk to go and put the rubbish down a chute or something. And he couldn't even let her do that because he was so terrified of the fact that it gave her space to think. albeit for 10, 20 seconds. It gave her space to think. And if she has space to think, she might think this is the most awful relationship. And I only got to see that woman once, and I'm grateful I did. And we kept making appointments, and she eventually came, and I saw her once. And the only reason I got to see her was because he was in hospital with appendicitis. And when it was visiting times, he insisted she was there from the beginning until the end. And it was only the fact that there was an authority saying you have to go now that she got this tiny, tiny bit of space. I don't know what happened. I saw her once, and I just fingers crossed that we did a brief but a decent bit of work for her. So that is jealousy and narcissists. It's not a romantic trait. It's not a will be forever and isn't it a charming trait and it just shows how much I love you trait. It's none of those things. It's a don't dare, don't even go there, don't even think about it trait. I will control you and I will have my own way. Thanks so much for watching. Please get some help. If any of this rings any bells with you, put some comments below. Just look on the internet. There's tons of people that have been in these situations, these relationships, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Keep safe, and I will speak to you soon.